have incredible news to share with you. I'm going back to school. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to chat with you guys today. I'm still in my very cozy jammies and we're doing an all pink coquette fit because that's the vibe for today. And I want to tell you all about my decision to go back to school and learn again and how I ended up there. Can I just preface by saying that 2024 has been treating me so dang well that I don't even know what to do with myself, almost to the point where it's so scary that everything is going so well that I'm like, when is something bad coming my way? I think the reason it has been this good though is because of my mindset shift. Perhaps I will talk about that in a different video, but today's video is focusing specifically on my commitment to learn and grow and be a better version of myself and my decision to kind of go back to school. So to give you guys a little bit of context, I graduated from the UCLA School of Nursing back in 2018, and to me that feels like a couple of years ago, but it is currently 2024, which means that that was nearly 6 years ago that I graduated. Yeah, well, it'll be 6 years in September, so we'll just call it 5 years. How about that? But it's been 5 years since I've sat in a classroom and learned something and really committed myself to bettering my craft, essentially. And as soon as I graduated, you get thrown into this deep black hole life. It's called adulting. All of a sudden, for the first time, you have to do your own taxes, you have to do laundry, you have to be cooking for yourself, you are figuring out what to contribute for your retirement. There are so many things that are being thrown at you at the same time. It sucks being an adult. I think for a lot of us, that first year transitioning post-grad is probably one of the most difficult things that you have to go through. And in that year, all I wanted to do was go back to school because school has a routine. Like, you do your homework, you turn in your assignments on time, and you will get praised. Life doesn't work that way. There are so many things that you work so hard for that may not ever become fruitful. You may work super hard in your job and never feel fully appreciated. There's just so many things that are unpredictable, and school is something that is predictable and easy in that sense. School itself is not easy, but the system of school and education is one that is so much easier to understand. Some of you, if you've been here a while, then you may know that I used to be pre-med and I decided that I was not going to apply to medical school, but instead I considered NP school or some sort of nursing master's. Actually, about a year after I started working, so right when I finished up my new grad program, which was a 1-year program, that's when I considered starting to apply to NP school. I actually ended up asking for some letter of recs from people near me. One person that I had asked was actually a clinical instructor that I had had during nursing school. She's very notorious for being, what's the word, challenging? For whatever reason, she really did like me as a person. She was a professor that I had looked up to and had written me recs in the past. And when I brought up this idea that I wanted to go back to NP school / apply for my master's, she was very much against it. I should actually pull up that email because at the time it really angered me, the way that she responded. I'm gonna read you what she wrote me. It's the fact that I've never shared this with anybody or ever read it since then, because it genuinely, I was so upset when I read this, but now I know that this is exactly what I needed to hear at that time. There was a couple of different things in that email, but I'm gonna read you the most important part. Lastly, as a current student who's in a DNP program, I hesitate to recommend you based on very little nursing experience that you have. I don't doubt that you can become an NP. I just think it's too soon considering you've only worked for a year. Furthermore, your nursing experience is limited to the PICU, which was the unit that I started in. At the time, I was looking to apply to an FNP program, and she said, in FNP, you are taking care of patients from birth to gerontology. I have worked in, she listed at least 6 different units that she's worked in before she applied for this program. And then she closed with, I'm writing you this long email because I truly care about your success. While you did not ask for my opinion, you may want to consider working in other units besides PICU. So that's what she wrote to me. I responded back very respectfully and I said, thank you for responding to my email and thank you for your feedback. But truly in my heart, it felt like a dagger. Now looking back at that situation, it's so easy to see that she was just looking out for me and my best interests, but at the time, all it felt like was like, you don't feel like I'm good enough, I'm not competent enough, you're not allowing me to do this. It hurt. Getting that email really made me rethink my path a little bit. Instead of applying to NP schools, what I did instead was to apply to different jobs. And I ended up moving back to the Bay, where I took another role as a PICU nurse, but I also took a couple of different other nursing jobs in primary care, etc. So I was working a lot of different roles in nursing. I'm really glad that I didn't end up applying to NP school because it wasn't what I wanted to do. It was what I felt like I needed to do. I felt the peer pressure to continue on in some way and failed to ask myself if this is even actually what I really wanted to do for a living. Fast forward a couple of years, you may remember that I applied for grad school, specifically MBA programs. I was fortunate enough to be able to apply, pass the interviews, and I actually was offered scholarships at both of the institutions that I was accepted to. And one of the schools was my dream MBA program, so it would have been a huge privilege and honor to be able to attend. MBA school is incredibly expensive. They offered me their biggest scholarship, but even with that, I think it was only 20 to 30K off, so it would still be at least 70 to 80 grand. At that time, I had just put down my down payment for the house. Financially, I just didn't feel like it was the best time either. Because all of this is happening at the same time, it's a sign that maybe now is not the time to go back to school. Again, I felt like the MBA was more for me than the NP was, because there were things that the MBA would teach me that I really did want to learn. I've never really talked too much about this side of creator work, but I really love the contracts and negotiations, working with brands, the back and forth, like the business side of the creator economy is something that I am deeply passionate about. Business school would kind of expedite and give you some more knowledge to be able to do more entrepreneurial things, and that's where my headspace was at the time. After having conversations with multiple mentors slash people in the space, they basically told me like, dude, you already have your own business. People go to business school so that they can be in the position that you're in. So why are you going backwards? And to that I say yes and no. I think there are a lot of foundational things that I can learn, and school is just, school is never a bad idea, right? But it did make sense that the MBA didn't directly give me knowledge for what I wanted to know. If I were to have taken a professional video editing course that was $400, that would have probably been more useful to me and my growth than taking a 100K MBA. To that, I was like, okay, maybe I need to rethink this a little bit. So I did not go through with the MBA. I turned down the offers. Again, hindsight is 2020, so I look back now and I'm like, thank God I didn't go through with that. In your 20s, every single year you are growing so much that I feel like you try to rush yourself through life stages when really you should just be trying to enjoy them. We arrived at 2023. I will not repeat it again, but basically 2023 was a very tough year for me. I realized that I was very stagnant in terms of my growth mentally, spiritually, career-wise. Going into 2024, I was like, we need to make a change. We are not doing this again. I truly believe that if you are not learning and growing and you are not moving forward, then you are moving backwards. And we are not trying to move backwards in 2024. So I asked myself, like, what is something that I really want to learn? A lot of you may know that I was born in Japan. I'm ethnically Taiwanese. At the age of 3, we moved from Japan to America, and while I did go to Japanese school until 2nd grade, that's kind of when the Japanese stopped. And here and there, obviously, I still speak Japanese with my parents, but that's really the only exposure I'm getting. Not being able to speak the language fluently to the extent that I would like made me really sad. So I was like, okay, why don't I just start making more videos about speaking Japanese and seeing how that goes? In one of the videos, I was like, oh, well, if there's any classes that you recommend for me to improve my Japanese, I would love to hear about them. And lo and behold, one of y'all came through. One of y'all sent me a link to a course that I was gonna be able to take in Seattle. It's actually online. The amount of like happiness that I felt when I found out that there was going to be this class, I was gonna be able to be back in a classroom doing homework, the whole shebang. The idea was exhilarating to me, which is crazy because I feel like when I was younger and when I was in college, I was like, oh, school sucks. I hate homework. I hate doing all this stuff. But now it's like, oh my God, I get to do this stuff. I ended up being too late to actually enroll in the class. So I had to email the school and they were like, you're too late to enroll in the class. We can't let you in. And then I wrote them back in Japanese and I was like, ganbatte benkyou shimasu. Like, I'm gonna study really hard. Like, please let me in. Please let me in. And she was like, well, like, you need to have a meeting with the principals to figure out your placement level. And I was like, okay, yes, I can do that. I was so nervous for this interview, so I want to show you some clips of it because I actually recorded it. I am a little nervous. I'm about to hop on a Zoom with the Japanese school principal. Wish me luck. Why am I so nervous? I'm sweating. Do I start with English? Do I start with Japanese? Like,
こんにちは。
こんにちは。校長先生、こんにちは。
こんにちは。ね、はじめまして。
はじめまして。
はい、ミキさんですね。
はい、ミキと申します。
それは補習校は中国語の補習校、日本語の補習校。
日本語のも言ってたけど、second grade の時やめました。
そうですか、大変ですよね。宿題が多いとね。
昔は横浜に住んでたけど、最近は旅行は東京とか京都行ってます。
ああ、そうですか。
はい。
で、ミキさんは学校で、例えば高校とか大学とかでも勉強したんでしたっけ？
はい、Japanese for Honors を取ったけど、AP テストは取ってません。
Okay, can you tell me the difference between あげる、くれる and もらう？
あげる is giving, くれる is like I'm taking.
じゃあ、how did you keep up your Japanese? Like your speaking is very good.
あんまり喋ってませんけど、I was very surprised by the results of the interview. The principal essentially told me that at the level that I'm at, I don't need to take these courses.
Your Japanese is actually pretty impressive. I think you're higher than the class that we offer, actually.
本当ですか？
本当。You know, your proficiency, at least like your speaking skills, you know, is higher than this book.
And I told her, I was like, no, you don't understand. I may sound like I'm okay, but because I never properly learned everything in a classroom, there are just a lot of gaps in my knowledge. There are random words that I don't know.
Looks like
I don't mind relearning again. I think just like having the opportunity to practice Japanese with other people too, and you know, sensei areba, I think it can kickstart stuff in my brain again, maybe.
I see. Okay.
I think I would really enjoy taking the intermediate classes. I think it would be a good atmosphere for me.
Yeah. It's good to have peers too.
Yes.
You know, you can encourage one another and make friends as well.
And she was like, yes, of course, then sign up for intermediate 2 or 3. Those are probably where you would find a lot of value. And I was like, okay, well, let's do 3. Let's challenge it up a bit. My class that I'm taking now starts at chapter 17. So I need to learn chapter 1 through 16 on my own, basically in the span of 2 weeks. And while there is stuff that I know, there is a ton of stuff that I don't know and lots of kanji that are very complicated and fancy. So it has been a tiny bit overwhelming, but in the best way. Here we have a lot of text and words. I'm going to go through and highlight the ones I do and don't know. 1日 2日 3日 4日 9日 Oh, 9日 is 9. It is a privilege to be able to learn, and I think it's taken me 27 years to really realize that. And now going back to school for something that 1, I care about and am passionate about. 2, I'm spending my own money on, so I feel very obligated to get bang for my buck. But basically moving forward, I need to commit to spending at least 10 hours, if not more, a week to learning Japanese in order for me to be at the competency that I would like to be at the end of March before I go on another Japan trip, essentially. But 10 hours when you're an adult working full-time jobs is quite a lot. And got 2 animals, we have a little zoo at home, and just making time for the things that matter. That's why in 2024, I am back in school and back in Japanese class, and this is only the beginning. There are a lot of other classes and things that I want to add on to this, but this is the first thing, and I want to take it slow. But I want to talk about the top 5 reasons why I feel like it's so important to continue to learn and grow. Number 1, competence leads to confidence. I feel like my confidence is something that I have constantly had to work on in my 20s. There are things that I'm very confident about and things that I just like don't even feel comfortable speaking about. When you are competent in a subject, it builds your confidence, it builds your charisma. The definition of charisma is the combination of competence and warmth. Charisma is the #1 most important thing to getting someone to like you and therefore hire you, choose you, give you opportunities that you otherwise might not have access to. Charisma is so important. So building your competence, never a bad idea. #2, it sparks new ideas and opportunities. If you are always stuck in the same lane doing the same thing, how will you ever have a new way of thinking? Even in last week's class, I've learned so much about things that I've been saying wrong for the last 20 years that I will no longer be saying wrong. I can't tell you guys exactly yet. Maybe by the time that this video comes out, I will be able to talk about it. But you know, something that I've loved so much is anime, and being back in Japanese school, I feel like has also like re-sparked. Not that I haven't been already watching anime every day, but I've been watching even more anime as a good excuse to learn, and something related to anime brought me a opportunity that I could only dream about. And if I had not signed up for this Japanese class, I had not committed to learning more about Japanese culture, this would have never come to me. #3, it changes your perspective. When you learn about how other people think, how you think, and how the way that you're thinking may be incorrect, or perhaps there are just different ways to think about a situation. Learning about different perspectives, different cultures, different ideas, I think it's so important to helping you be happier too, because it helps you understand where other people are coming from, and maybe not happier. I think the right word is that it helps you be less angry at the world. Perspective allows you to be at peace with yourself and not be angry at others. #4, it keeps your brain active. This is no secret. If you do not use your brain, it is like a muscle. You use it or you lose it. And research has shown that continuing learning keeps your brain cells at optimal functioning levels, which may slow cognitive and memory decline as we age. Make sure you exercise your brain muscles. I was realizing that my memory was progressively getting worse and worse and worse. And I'm in my 20s. There's no reason that should be happening. We need to exercise those brain muscles, get them learning, working out again. So the class is good for us. 5, it helps you stay connected to your community. And yes, I know what you're thinking. You already have your community at work, at church, you know, wherever it is, but it's fun getting exposure to new communities, new perspectives, new people. Life is just better when you don't always have the answer and know exactly what to expect. I will definitely keep you guys posted on this journey of learning and being in my back to school era. I've already gone to the stationery store and bought so many things, but I am just so excited and over the moon. I'm sure you guys can tell from this video. 2024, I have a feeling is going to be a really, really great year. And if you are committed to learning something new, whether it's something as simple as just learning a new recipe, I would love to know what you are committed to learning this year. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you follow me on my socials for more updates about how school is going. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. It would mean a lot to me. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!